I'm Bryan Raven. I'm the Managing Director of Light Ltd. We're a technical supply company for the live events industry, theatre, theme parks, conferences, corporate events. We employ about nearly 200 people based down in southwest London. We're sitting here in a hire warehouse, which is one of 3 warehouses we have here in Wimbledon. This is a pretty active warehouse. We're at the end of the day at the moment, so it's a little bit quieter than normal. But this is also a workplace where a lot of our apprentices work. Light have been employing apprentices for over 6 years now. We've had over 60 apprentices through the company. Virtually all of them get offered jobs at the end of their apprenticeship. Quite frankly, they're brilliant. It's the best way of us recruiting people at entry level. It means that we have time to bed them into the culture of the business. It's not an easy industry to join in terms of you can't really go to college to learn what we do here at Light. So it's something we have to do on-the-job training for. And as an apprentice, everyone's got that little bit more patience and there's a lot more structure to that training, which means by the end of the year to 18 months, they've been through the whole company, we've worked out what their strengths and their weaknesses are, and we've nearly always found a home for them at the end of their apprenticeship.
My name's Daniel. I work for Light in the broadcast department. My role at the minute is broadcast technician. We take care of all the bits and pieces that is mainly used on live broadcast jobs, lighting and all that type of thing. We prep it to go out on site. If it comes back damaged, we'll then repair it. And just, general maintenance of all that kit and prepping for when a job does come down. This repair at the moment, I'm opening the unit up. We've tested it and there's no cold output, so I'm opening this up at the minute to see if there's any visual faults. By visual I mean anything that we can clearly see, cables missing, cables separated, any sorts of burn marks on the boards and things like that. And then after that, if there's no visual things, you've then got to start looking into the circuitry and things like that to find what's causing the problem.
So Dan joined us on the technical apprenticeship, and like the other technical apprentices, he worked his way around every department, and people find the areas that they are most comfortable with, where they're most comfortable with the technology and the skills required. And the way we structure our apprenticeships, you'll generally spend your last 3 to 6 months in that department so that you find out, yes, this is where I want a job, this is where I want to be. And Dan settled very nicely into the broadcast workshop and is very much part of the team.
This is an ARRI Sky panel, and what we're going to do with this, we're going to take it out of the case, double check that it's all in working order and safe to go back out on the next job. So you always do visual inspection first, double check that all the casing's still good, double check that the panel on the front is good, check that the cable is all intact. If they've not been looked after brilliantly, whilst they've been out, there could be like nicks or chips in the cable. Per production, you can have hundreds of different units, different types of fixtures, all depending on what you're trying to achieve. The type of production it is, whether it's broadcast or theatre, a corporate event, the amount of fixtures you need for each of them will differ depending on all sorts of different factors. My skills since I started at Light have improved massively. When I started, there was like a basic knowledge of the odd bits and pieces of kit, and then when you come to Light, the training in all aspects, even just ways of fault finding on a unit, how you'd go about that, where you'd start, how you'd repair something. For me personally, I've got quite good at the repair aspect of things.
Good afternoon. My name's Ellie. I'm a business support administrator and I work at Light. So a normal day for me would be a lot of answering the phones throughout the day to deal with inquiries I have to pass on. So booking accommodation and travel for mainly our installs guy and our tech service. I do a lot of work for the finance team as well, so I'll pass on sales invoices, approve requests. Previously I had, like retail jobs. I worked behind a bar. It didn't really fit for me. And then I did a couple of reception jobs, and there was something about that I liked, but there was never any progression. So I kind of wanted to create a career for myself, which is how I found this apprenticeship. And I feel like now I have a lot more options in, where I want to go, what I want to do.
Ellie joined us on an office administration apprenticeship, which was the first time we employed a non-technical apprentice. It's been great. She's become an incredibly important part of the team. We've got a reasonably small administration structure here, and therefore she spends time working, helping out the marketing team, the finance team, basically just effectively almost running the office. And she's a great asset to the team.
So when we have an inquiry for an event for, lighting or visual or sound, they'll initially probably call us first. So I'll take that call, I'll find out as much information as I can and pass it to a relevant account handler. Then they will pass it down to the team down here who can prep all the equipment, get it packed out. Ops team will put it on the trucks, and then trucks will take it and deliver it to the site where it needs to be. Especially within my job, obviously I'm answering the phone a lot, so I help out each department that way. If we've got an inquiry, I can pass it on to our customer sales team. If you've got a query about type of equipment, that can go to our tech service team. So I deal with almost everyone, even when it comes down to providing stationery. That's obviously helpful because it means that they can get their job done. So I think my role is probably quite important to the wider organisation. As it helps everyone get their job done. We are in the background, but it means that every team can do their job to the best of their ability without having to worry about all the small things, because those are the things that we sort out. I would say I was probably a bit sceptical doing an apprenticeship because I was 23 at the time. I thought maybe I was a bit old, but it was probably one of the better decisions I think I've ever made. I love this job, I'm very happy here. Not only the job, but all the people that I've met as well. It's been really good, and I definitely recommend it. My advice to young people would be, if it's something that you're interested in, then I would definitely go for it. It's worked really well for me, and I think it's so important to learn on the job while you're doing it as well. I think you gain a lot more knowledge.
One of the reasons apprenticeships work is it's putting people into a work environment quicker than you would if you went through an academic route. Certainly here, and I believe other apprentices have the same experience, they're treated as an adult, they're treated as a part of the team pretty much from day one. The only way they're slightly treated differently as an apprentice is people are a little bit more patient on the learning experience. They understand they're an apprentice, and therefore it is their first job. It's the first time they've done something. So everyone's got that little bit more patience, and that's why I think they are so much more successful as staff members of the team when they finish their apprenticeship, because they've probably had a better education and induction into the company than someone else just joining as a non-apprentice. And certainly recruiting entry-level staff through apprenticeships is absolutely our preferred option.
The advice I'd give to anybody looking to get into the industry is to never stop building on the experience and knowledge that you've learnt. It's also an industry where you need to remember people's names, and because the likely chances is you will come across them on a different job, and it's always good to be familiar with different people within the industry. The advice that I would give myself when I was starting out is not to be too set on a certain path. So when I first got into the industry, like I say, I was always interested in theatre, but then throughout doing an apprenticeship you get to see so many different sides of the industry and the different roles within it that it's very likely that you will get different ideas throughout your apprenticeship after being shown all the different roles that are actually contained within one industry. So just be open to different roles and different ideas of what you want to do, because they may change.
One of the advantages of doing an events-based apprenticeship is the life skills you learn. It's taking you into a creative and an events-type world. You learn how to work as a team, you learn how to hit a deadline, you learn how to work, being honest, to a budget. And even if you end up going into another world entirely, the life skills you learn working in a live events industry are huge.
One of the interesting things about working for a company like White Light is the scale and size of productions that we are a part of, and it's good to see things like on TV or in newspapers, things like that you know you've played a very small part in, but just to see the scale of what's being achieved, it really is, you know, a really good part of the job, seeing the end result of what you've played a part in to make happen.